Hello everyone, welcome, I'm Robert, and today I want to discuss Lost Ruins of Arnak, and that's with all content including the adventure chest. Alright, so first to give you some background, I played Lost Ruins of Arnak in 2021, roughly a year after it came out, and that was just with the base set contents, and I did enjoy it a lot. I only played it about 6 or 8 times because by the time that you play at the highest solo difficulty, you kind of keep scoring the same, so it kind of plateaus. And I did enjoy it a lot, but I didn't really have much reason to play it. And then they came out with all these expansions. I only purchased the first one, but I never got it on the table. And then they announced this adventure chest. So I figured out buy it and then buy the missing expansion content that I have and just play it all together, which is exactly what I did. So I spent 2 weeks with the game, progressively adding all of the expansion content. I started with just the base set contents, just as a refresher, and then every time that I played a new game, I added a new piece of content. This allowed me to experience every leader and every board. However, I did not try every board and leader combination because that would have taken me forever, but that only speaks to how much content there is in this game with all the combinations, which is great. Now, unfortunately, I did not end up trying the campaign content, and I'll explain why later. So before I get into the pros and cons when it comes to the gameplay and content perspective, I want to talk about the insert storage solution that comes with the adventure chest. And honestly, folks, it is good, but I wasn't crazy about it. Now, once you assemble everything and put it back in the box, it's neat. However, the issue is setting up, because when you set up the game, you're basically gonna have to take every box out and spread it and have it within reach, which will require you to have a gargantuan amount of table space, because there's tons of boxes that you need to have spread out, and also boards. So the game is already a bit of a table hog as it is, which I'll discuss later. But now, because of all of these containers that come with the storage solution, if you want setup to go smoothly, you need to have all of these boxes arranged around you. And there's a ton of them. And typically the amount of table space that I had to dedicate to this for that to work is the amount of space that I usually do for big box campaign games like Midara or Gloomhaven or something like that. So I had to attach other tables to my current table for it to work. And the way that the pieces are spread throughout all of these containers is not exactly intuitive. There isn't really much logic to it. I mean, everything has a place, but having to reach for a specific component, it really didn't exactly flow smoothly. Taking all of the boxes out, there's no like sequence to it really. It's just, yeah, there's a container for every component, but it's just kind of spread haphazardly throughout the containers. But at the end of the day, once you have everything spread out, if you want to dedicate a few weeks like I did to having the game on the table and play a bunch, it works great. Just temper your expectations as far as how smooth the setup process will be and how much table space will be required. Alright, so now let's get into what I like about Lost Ruins of Arnak. I think relative to how great the experience is and how brain burning it is, you're going to be learning this relatively quick. And when you add the expansions, they are very easy to integrate and they don't require that many more rules to remember. So overall, the learning experience with this game, even as you add the extensive amount of expansions, is relatively breezy. Next, I want to mention just the great decision space that this game offers. I love the worker placement, the light deck building, the resource conversion, using the artifacts for their instant effects, and using the defeated guardians. And then when you add the asymmetric leaders, it just takes it to a whole new level. And not to mention that as you add more boards, each board will have you approach it differently, which might force you to focus on different things. So with the variety leaders and sites that you can place your workers on, and all of the cards that are added to the artifact, and all of the extra cards that are added to the deck, and also the actions on your board with the idols, I just think everything just syncs beautifully, and it's just a pleasure to play, and it just offers a nice, thinky experience every time. And kind of on the same note as my previous point, the game is just plain fun. From the 10 games that I played over the course of a couple of weeks, there was not a single moment that I was bored in any way. Now, I did have a couple mixed experience with some boards and leaders, which I'll bring up later, but I was never bored for a second. The game is just fun from beginning to end every time. And I also, of course, have to bring up the absolutely gorgeous art, presentation, iconography, and component quality. This is just top notch, some of the best in the industry. Just absolutely amazing. I also really like the arc of the game. So, as the game progresses, the rounds will get more involved as you acquire more cards for your deck and unlock more powerful sites to place your workers on and also gain your assistants. How crunchy the turns get as the game progresses is just marvelous. I just love that curve of how it gets more and more combo-y as the game progresses. It's just fantastic. And now with expansions, the amount of variety is just astronomical. You have so many leaders to choose from, and then you can combine them with different boards. And there's also modules that you can add that change the AI behavior and give you objectives. But also there's the campaign, which I'll bring up later. I'm not really too big into campaigns for these types of games that are mainly supposed to be one-off games. But there's that too. So the wealth of content and variety is just astronomical with this game. And finally, I want to give props to the super easy to run bot. The rules for this game to play solo are just so simple. You basically just draw from a tile deck that dictates the bot's action every turn, and it's just a couple pages in the rulebook. And then as you add expansions, each expansion with different boards and temples will come with their little adjustments so that the bot can run it. But I'll mention this, as I said earlier, if you only have the base game, the bot just becomes very easy to beat and you're going to score the same over and over. So you do really require expansions, especially the latest expansion, the Twisted Paths, that is included with the adventure chest, because it comes with solo bot tiles that make it more difficult. Now, you can also print and play and download this for free from their website if you don't want to pay for the Twisted Paths. But as you get familiarized with the system, you are going to need to download those cards to increase the bot difficulty, because once you become good at the game, it's going to be very easy to score higher than the bot. Now, the next couple of things I'll mention, your mileage might vary with them. They might be negative for you, but it'll depend. So next, I also want to bring up that, of course, this game is a high score chase, which I know that some people don't care for those types of games. It doesn't bother me. I just wanted to bring it up because, yeah, at the end of the day, this is just a high score chase. But the process of how you get there throughout the game, the journey there is just beautiful, as I said, with how great the turn-to-turn gameplay is and the crunchiness of it. I adore the gameplay here. It's just fantastic. But yeah, it is just a high score chase, so that might bother you. I want to comment on the overall experience with the different boards and the leaders, because overall, the majority of the leaders I had a great experience with. For example, the journalist from the Missing Expedition expansion, I didn't think that I would end up liking the journalist or the mechanic, but the journalist, I adored the gameplay with the journalist, and some people don't care for it. Some people describe the journalist as having it requires too much work for little payoff, and probably, but I did end up enjoying the journalist gameplay a lot. Now, I wasn't crazy about the mechanic, especially I wasn't crazy about the archaeologist. Okay, the archaeologist, it really requires you to play is so different, at least from my gameplay style, that I did not enjoy the archaeologist at all. And also from the temple angle, I did not like the owl temple. Now, I only played it once, but my experience with it was pretty poor. I suppose that it's just going to require more plays to get a grasp of how to do well in that temple. I also thought that the way that the solo bot worked with the owl temple was a bit wonky. Like it felt a bit unclear in areas, and it just felt a bit too much BS how the bot just gained so many of those tiles, and like I think the bot just scored way too high for my taste in the Owl Temple. So I don't know how well tuned that is. I don't know if I followed a rule wrong. I don't think so, but I felt that the bot was just way too absurd with how much it scored in the Owl Temple. Conversely, I did really enjoy the Spider Temple. That one was a blast to play. I love that one, so zero complaints. So that's what I'm saying. Like, your mileage might vary with how good your experience will be with certain expedition leaders and certain temples. Overall, positive, but you might have a couple duds here and there with those two things. And finally, I want to comment on the campaign. So here's what happened in my case. I left that last. I wanted to integrate all content, okay, and try all the boards and all the leaders at least once. And then I left the campaign for last. And what happened was I started setting up the campaign, and I just could not be fucked to like finish, like even start the first mission. When I saw how many more steps you have to go through, especially what really killed me is having to separate, like it tells you to separate cards, separate tiles, separate idols. You have to separate all of these components. And it's like, God damn it, guys. Like, I just don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to have to separate all of this because when you look at some of the components, if you want to notice the symbol of the set for you to separate it, it's like microscopic. Like, you almost like need a magnifier to see. And it's not just the size issue, it's a contrast issue. Some of these symbols are really hard to tell in these cards and tiles if you want to separate them. So it's just a pain in the ass separating all of these components just so that you can play the campaign. And then you have to deal with how it changes setup and the rules. So not only do you have to go through all of this work separating components, you then have to, you're used to, like, I just spent like 2 weeks setting up like 10 games in a row with, you set up a certain way. You're used to setting up a certain way. And now it's like, oh no, you don't set up like that. You do all of these changes to setup, and it just killed me. It's like, I don't want to do this for like 6 games, okay? Like, I'm done. And look, like, I don't think that I'm missing anything. Like, I'm sure the campaign's great. It's just, I don't care for campaign elements in general for games. I've mentioned this in a couple other occasions with games that have campaign elements added to them. I'm sure it's great. If you enjoy it, great. I've read a couple mixed things, but overall positive about the campaign experience. The biggest thing about the campaign, the biggest compelling point is that it will give you these parameters that will make you play differently for each game. And that sounds great, but I don't think the amount of work is worth the payoff. So it was just dead on arrival for me. I could not even be bothered to start the first mission. So just, enjoy the campaign for those that do. I can't comment on it, unfortunately. I just thought it was way too much of a chore to set it up. I would just rather shuffle all the tiles and decks and just start a new game. I would rather just spend that time playing than separating components and reading new rules. Oh, and I guarantee you that I don't care how good the story might be, I'll probably forget about the story like a week later. All right, so now let's get into a couple things that I wasn't a fan of. My biggest issue with this game is just how much of a table hog it is. And honestly, the biggest thing is just how long the board is. I really think that they should have separated that Moonstaff area where you put the card market. That should have been its own board that you can move around. It really would have solved a lot of the issues that I have with the way that you arrange this game on your table. I had to come up with my own layout, which I'll show on screen. I basically just set the card market aside and use a die to show the round number. But if I didn't do that, I would not be able to enjoy the game. Like, I have to reach far back too much for me to not only pick up cards, but also look at them and read them. So I can't really play the game with the intended layout just because from a solo perspective, it's just awkward as heck. So yeah, you have to come up with your own layout. I suggest the one that you try the one that I showed on screen. Now, this issue is exacerbated even more when you add the Twisted Paths boards. As I added the expansion content to try, I got caught off guard by the Twisted Paths boards, which are even bigger, which I was not expecting. I thought that they would just be the same standard size as the base game. So I had to pull out, and again, this is something that I do for campaign games. I had to bring out a attachment that I have for my board gaming table that extends it. It's like this big project board that I velcroed to the table to give it more space for giant games like like Aeon Trespass Odyssey type games, is what I'm saying. So this game is just so goddamn table hungry. I had to put all of the components aside, clear the table, put this attachment on top, and then put everything back, just because of this boards that were much bigger, and that just left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. So if you have a layout that you're used to from this base game board, now you're gonna have to figure out a different layout for your table, because this just it's even more table space. So just wasn't happy about how much of a table hog this game is. Oh, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, when you have the storage solution from the adventure chest, now you're going to need even more space for you to arrange all of the little insert containers nearby, because if you don't, then, a setup is just a nightmare if you don't have everything within arm's reach. All right, another thing that I'm not a fan of is just from the perspective of if you're a new consumer to this game, the base game by itself, it's not really enough. You do have to add, at the very least, the Expedition Leaders expansion, and then the package becomes much more full-fledged. And also you have to download and print the extra difficulty solo bud cards. So you can just buy the base game if you want to figure out if you like the game or not. It is definitely great experiencing for the first time, just the base game, but eventually you are going to need the Expedition Leaders expansion to complete the package. And also the solo extra difficulty bot cards, which you can download for free from their website. All right, folks, so final thoughts. So I think that this game is a remarkable. I love the puzzle that this game offers with the relative amount of rules. Now, just with a little note, you do have to buy at least the Expedition Leaders to really round out the package. If you don't want to go all in and buy everything, I understand. If you want to keep it a bit more contained, just buy the base game and the Expedition Leaders. I do think that all the content gameplay-wise is worth it. Now, as far as the adventure chest and storage solution, it's okay. I'm happy with it. I just think that it's a bit too table hungry, and the setup process using their storage solution is not as smooth as I thought it would have been. But really, that's my biggest issue with the game, just the table hog aspect of it. But once you set up everything around you, I could keep playing this. Again, I was never bored for a second while playing this. I was a bit annoyed with the campaign thing, like I mentioned. I just could not be bothered to even start it. But yeah, folks, that's Lost Ruins of Arnak, an amazing package overall. And make sure that you do yourself a favor and try this system. It is just fantastic. Plays so good solo. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.